Alright, so let's continue. Now in this video we're gonna add the add to cart button, and at the same time let's also use the dynamic, let's create the UI dynamically by using the data that we're getting back from the sheet. But before that, there is something which I've been thinking about, like a few things which we can fix. So the top bar, like the tabs that we have, let's actually increase the font size. It's looking way too small. So for that, let's head back, and within the top bar component, we have already added a few stylings for the tabs, the individual tab that we have over here. So along with these stylings, let's also change the font size to be of 17 pixels, and I believe that's looking much better. And let's also increase the spacing over here. So for that, let's change the margin bottom to be of 15 on the main stack, wrapping the entire thing of this top bar component. And I guess that's looking much better. Alright, so now let's head back to the books component, and right over here in the second stack, the content on the right side, let's add the button. So for that, we will be using the button component from the MUI library, and the text has to be get to, not get to, but add to cart. Let's have a look, and there we have the button and a few not only the styling, but also something is looking odd over here, and I know what exactly it is. So the thing is that this shape is trying to stretch as much as of the space which is available, and as these two elements, like the one on the left and the one on the right, are wrapped inside of a stack, and when we added the button, it kind of increased the size of it, and that's why this box is now looking a bit odd, because it's stretching to the increased size. So I guess we have to fix it. It's not looking good. And so what instead we can do is, let's actually remove the styling from here. So this is the this is the main stack, within which we have the left stack, and then we have the image. So let's do one thing, let's add another stack right next to the image, like within the left stack, and again it's gonna be a self-closing one, and to this we can pass down these things like the background color, and instead of padding, let's actually hard code the width and the height. Sorry about that. So over here, let's add the width of 130 and the height of 130, and let's actually see how it looks, and there it is. Okay, so now what we can do is, let's change the position of it to be of absolute, so that it kind of doesn't take, like it doesn't add space of its own. And at the same time, the main stack, the one, let me actually add the comment, so it's the left stack, the left content, and this one would be the right stack. Now within the internal one, the left stack, we can add the position of relative, so that this stack that we are adding is relative to this thing. So now if we save it, there it is. And let's also do one other thing, because this stack, it's only going to take the size of the actual element which is inside of it. And right now, because we changed the position of the shape stack, like the one that we have over here, this shape, we change the position to be of absolute, so it is disregarding any space of it, like it's not considering the, like it has any space or like it has any size. Now it's kind of like CSS 101, so I wouldn't get much, like I wouldn't get deeper into it, but the point is that there are different types of position, and we can just see like the static one is the default, which means that the element will be placed as a static element in the DOM, and when we change it to be of absolute, then it works a bit differently. The key difference is that it loses its identity as a normal element, you can say. I don't know whether that was clear, but anyways, so now what we need to do is we need this stack to be the same width as of this one. So for this, let's add the width right over here, and now that's looking much better. And let's also shift this this shape to be behind of the book cover, and for that we can do z index of -1. That's looking much better. And now we just need to position the book cover in the middle. So for that, what we can do is, instead of position, okay, position relative will still make sense. Let's push it by the left side, and the width is 85, so half of that, well, half of that would be way too much. How about 20? 42.5, I don't know, that's, yeah, that's way too much. So how about 22.5? And I guess that's looking much better. And let's also fix one other thing. So instead of 130 for the height, let's go with 120, and that's looking much better. Yep, I believe that's actually looking the way that we initially intended it to be. Perfect. So now we can actually start with the styling of the button. Let's do that. So firstly, let's fix the font family. It's using the default one, but instead of doing it over here, let's get to the theme, and right in the typography we can target the button component, and over here we can change the font family to be of Lato and the fallback font of sans serif, and that's looking perfect. Let's also change the text transform to be of inherit, I guess, and I guess that's looking good. Alright, so now we can actually add the styling. Let's do that. Okay, now there's one other thing which we can do. So this button is within the stack, and the direction of it is currently a column from top to bottom. So that would mean the main axis, the cross axis is align items, and by default the align items has stretch. So over here we can do align items to be of flex start. If we do that, it wouldn't take the entire size, like it wouldn't stretch out to be the entire, like a full width button, in short. So now let's add the styling, and for that just hold on for a minute. Let me just check out the styling that it has. And well, that's actually one of the reasons why I kind of really like working with Figma, because it gives you the CSS code right away. So over here to this button we can add the styling, so it has to be in quotes. The same thing over here, and now if we save it, let's see, that's looking ugly, and let's fix it. Okay, thing is, now it is looking a bit odd. It seems like the image is not aligned properly, or maybe we can shift it to match the same kind of the same axis, like so that they are center. But before that, let's actually style the button. Let's do that. Over here, I'm gonna add some padding in the x-axis of about, not with this, of about 3. That's good. Some border radius of about 10 because we want it completely rounded, and also the box shadow of 0.8. Okay, the same thing for the border. I guess that's looking a bit more subtle and nice. Now let's actually fix the alignment. It's looking odd. So for this, what we can do over here, this would be, let's actually do one thing. You don't have to do the same thing. I just need to test something out. Okay, nope, that's not. Anyway, so over here, maybe if we do align items on the main stack, the one wrapping these two, and yeah, I guess that's looking a bit better. And we can shift the text a bit. I mean, let's see how it is over here. Yeah, I think we should shift the content on the right side a bit above, like a bit upside. So for that, right over here, sorry about that, right over here, the right stack, we can add the position over here to be of relative and top. Well, actually we don't need to do that. Maybe just doing margin, negative margin to the top might work. Nope, it didn't. I guess it makes sense because it's within the stack. So let's do position relative, top of -10. Let's see, and that's looking perfect. That's exactly what we want. All right, now I wouldn't change the color of the text. It's actually looking decent, so let's just keep it the way that it is. And that's, I guess that's done in terms of the book component, the book item. So now let's actually work on the dynamic part. Firstly, let's generate the the genre tabs dynamically. So for that, now heading back to the index, let's actually log the entire thing that we have, like the items that we're getting. And over here, there it is, the object, and within this we have the items and everything. So that's perfect. Let's do that, like the thing which I showed at the time of creating an array of genre. So for that, we can have like genre, well actually genres, and over here the items is an array. So we will be mapping over this thing. We're gonna get the item and item dot genre. That's what we are looking for, which would be this field, right? And because we want to remove the duplicates, let's convert it into a set. Whoops, a set, and let's spread it out as well. So this is the genres. And just to be sure, let me just console it to the, log it to the console. Okay, that's what it is. Beautiful. So now let's pass down the same thing, genres over here, and let's head to the top bar component. And right over here, we will be removing the other two tabs because we want to dynamically create this component. Let's also destructure it right at the top, and right over here we can do genres.map. We have the genre, and we just need to create this component, the value and the label. Oops, and the label is gonna be genre as such. And let's also use the same thing as the key value. So now if we save it and if we refresh, this time it's actually getting created dynamically, which is perfect. And just to be sure, let me just change this thing to be of something else, like motivation. And now if I save it, let me just refresh, and we should be having 3. That's beautiful. That's that's like magic at the moment, because we are sort of using the sheet as a CMS, you can say. So that's great. I'm gonna keep it motivation for now. And now let's actually work on the book item component. Let's head back. Right now, let's get to the books. And now I think it's the right time to shift this entire thing into a book item component. Let's do that. I'm gonna cut the entire thing, and within the books component, sorry, the books directory, let's create a new file called book item. Let's create the component, and I'm gonna return back the same thing. So we need to move a few things. Actually, let me just copy the same thing, because it seems like the things which are not used are less than what is being used. So the button, let me just remove these things for the time being, and over here we don't need the container. So that's that. Now let's destructure the different things that we will be getting. All right, so we're gonna get the what is it, the image. Actually, it's the, like, all these things. And 1 second, I forgot to add the freaking price. Wow, like, we discussed the entire thing. We did all of it. We almost we are almost done with the component, and now that I think of it, I completely missed out the price. Very well. That's what happens when you kind of, anyway, so let's do that. It's kind of funny that it was completely missed out. Anyway, so let me just head back and add all of these things. And I know, like, some of you, or maybe like you must be thinking about the same thing, but then you were like, never mind, I saw it in the final version, so this dude will eventually remember it. Anyway, so now we have all these things. Let's place them the way that it should be. So starting with the name, let's replace it as such to be of name, the image to be over here, and for this I'm gonna use backticks, and this thing would be inside of a template literal. And then we are not even using author. Okay. It's turning out that things are kind of, anyway, so what I'm gonna do is, let's just skip author. I mean, why not? Or like, if you wanna really display it, you can place it somewhere around here. Or like, what do we do? I'm gonna skip it for the time being. Like, I'm not gonna remove the column. So let's just work with the stuff that we have, and then we're gonna fix all of it. So now let's actually do the genre, which is this, and the star to be of, is it stars? Yep, it's stars. And price, the most important, which we cannot really skip. at any cost. So the price, how about we add it over here, like something like this, right next to the add to cart button, or maybe like this. Okay, let's actually see. I mean, that would work. Let's add it as such. So over here where we have the button, let's add another stack component and let's wrap up the button. And now the thing that we added over here, the flex start, let's actually remove this thing because we want this stack to take the entire space. And right within it we can add in typography, and let's add the price as such, changing the font family to be of Lato. And now you will see a thing which is getting repeated, which is this thing, font family Lato sans serif, and it's looking a bit odd, like to kind of keep on repeating the same thing when we know it's very commonly used. So let's actually do something about it. Let's head to the theme, and right over here within, let's actually use another theme configuration variable called components, and this thing will allow us to add our own sauce on different components. So over here the component that we need to target is MUI typography, and we will be overriding the style. We will be we're gonna add in the style overrides, which is an object, and we need to specify the rule name or slot, you can say. So the root slot, this is the one which all the typography components will have, regardless the variant or anything. Like over here, if I just do the command space just to see the available options, you can see we have a bunch of different options to go with, but the root one that we have used, it will be available on all the typography, and that's what we are targeting. So what we are saying is that if it has ampersand, means the component, if it has Lato class name, a CSS class name, then we want it to have the font family of Lato and fallback font of sans serif. So in this way we don't have to manually add this thing again and again. We can just remove it altogether, and we just need to add the class name of Lato, and I guess that's much better. So if we do that, we have the same thing. Perfect. So now we were on the price. Let's actually change the variant of it to be of H6 and align items to be of stack, and justify content of space between. So now let's head back on the books component, and over here let's actually go back to the index because we need to pass down the books, and we don't really have to do much because let's actually change the name to be of books. It would be much better. Oops, we don't have to make the mistake. We are passing it down as book as items, so we have to make the change over here first, and then over here we can change it to be of books. Same thing to be, instead of I it should be B. Let's pass down the books right over here. So now in the books component, we can destructure the books, and let's dynamically create the book item. So over here, books.map book item. To this we have to pass down the key book.name. We will be using that as the key, and instead of kind of adding the prop and the value to be B, like book.name, and the price to be book.price. We can just spread out the entire thing the lazy and the simplest way. So now if we take a look, we have an error, no problem. And let me actually console it over here just to see. Let me refresh. So we have the books, that's what we are passing. Book item is not defined, that's strange. Oh, we didn't import it. All right, that's what we are talking about. We need to fix a few things, but voila, that's freaking amazing. So now let's head to the book item, and this thing we have to fix it. By the way, we can just remove the console from here. Let's head to the book item, and right over here let's first change the direction to be of row, and this thing let's remove it as such. Perfect. Let's add in the dollar in such a way, and it turns out that this tag is not taking the entire available space. So let's tell it to take the 100% of the available space, and it's still not taking the entire space, which is strange. Let me change the background color. Okay, what if we do 100% width to this as well? Well, that's looking way too odd. Okay, let's actually do one thing. We don't need to do this width 100% stuff like that, not even the space between. We can just do, like, on the typography component we can do MR and to be of margin to the right of 4. Now in case you are wondering that, what is this? I thought we removed it. So in case you're wondering that how come we use the MR on the typography component, so the thing is that the MUI library has 4 specific components which it calls CSS utility components, which are stack, box, typography, and there's one other one, like this one other that I'm missing out. Stack, box, typography. Hold up one second. CSS utility components. Actually, let me do one thing. And grid. Okay. So there are 4 components which are called CSS utility components, and these are grid, typography, box, and stack. So on these components you can directly use the props, like the CSS props, the CSS properties as props, you can say. So that's what we are doing now. The MR and like all these things, I wouldn't get again like much deeper into this aspect, because it is sort of like the way that the library works, and I'm planning to create some resource on the MUI library as well, but that's something for some other day. Anyway, so the point is that we just added margin to the right of about 4, which is 32 pixels, and I guess that's looking much better. Now there's one other thing which we can do. So firstly, the stack component, which is wrapping the left and right stack, let's add some BG color of red, And then let's head back to the books component, and over here on the container we can add some spacing of about 5. Let's now remove the red color as such. So that's looking much better, I believe. Let's just do 4. I think that would be good enough. Anyway, so that's that. We are done with the UI, and we are dynamically generating the UI. And it seems like this thing, it is not using Lato. So what's up with that? Let's see. Obviously, because let's just wrap it inside of a typography. Why not? Yep, that's what it is. Alright, so that's complete this part, and now I guess we should be working on, let's actually work on the tabs. Like, we can do it now, maybe not now, but obviously in the next video. Anyway, so I'll figure that out, what needs to be done. So see you in the next one, and thank you for watching.